name is Anna, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Kansas in ecology and evolutionary biology, and my research is on jellyfish, some of my favorite animals. Now, I'm not in the lab right now, but I am at home where I actually do keep some jellyfish at home. So right here, this is one of my jellyfish tanks. Here, so there's a single jellyfish going around in a circle. I also have some polyps, which I'll talk about in a little bit. They're in a bowl right over here. And in that tank, this tank over here, I have something that's related to jellyfish that I'll talk about in just a second. But to start off with, so most people when they think about jellyfish, they're thinking about probably an animal with a really nice large bell, so this rounded bell on top, and these long frilly or noodly like tentacles hanging from the bottom. And that's true. A lot of jellyfish that most of us have seen in aquariums or probably seen in drawings, that's often what they look like. But in reality, jellyfish are part of this kind of larger group that also includes things like sea anemones and corals and some other kind of jellyfish-like animals like siphonophores, like the Portuguese man of war, as well as bluebottles or by-the-wind sailors and box jellyfish. What unites all of these, this group called cnidarians, are the possession of stinging cells. Now these are some super cool, very small cells that these animals use to inject venom. And that's the adaptation I'm going to be talking about today, is having these stinging cells and the ability to inject venom. So first we're going to look at the polyp stage of those jellies that I showed a bit earlier. So these are jellyfish polyps, which are essentially like young jellyfish. This is a sessile or non-moving stage. And you can see them hanging their tentacles down. They're attached to this glass slide. And you can see as a brine shrimp swims into their tentacles, they're actually scooping it up with those tentacles. It's very cute and very fast. And so they're using all those stinging cells on their tentacles to help inject toxins into prey and then quickly bring it to their mouth. Now these are hydroids, so they're related to jellyfish. These also have these tentacles and they're stuck to the bottom, and you can see once a brine shrimp touches their tentacles, they're very quickly injecting these toxins, and then they're also going to bring it up to their mouth. Now these jellyfish here, these are upside down jellyfish, and quite literally they spend their time hanging out on the bottom with their tentacles facing up. Now what's super cool about these is they actually release mucus from their tentacles that release these little balls I'm showing here, these stinging cell balls called caseosomes. Now these caseosomes aren't living things, they're just balls of stinging cells that can move, but you can see here they're also capable of stinging brine shrimp. So stinging cells do not need to necessarily be attached to the animal to still discharge and function. So venom is this complex mixture of toxins, and it's used for multiple different things, but often it's used to capture prey or to deter predators. Now all cnidarians are carnivores. That means they eat other animals, and that often is small zooplankton, maybe some small shrimps or crabs. Sometimes they eat fish as well, and a lot of them actually eat other jellyfish, which is pretty cool. Now they use these venoms to incapacitate their prey. So let's imagine that jellyfish before with the bell and the long frilly tentacles. If you've ever touched a jellyfish, which some aquariums now will let you do that, they're very, very squishy. They're almost like jello. Jellyfish are actually 95% water, and you can imagine something that's 95% water is very, very delicate. Now if you have a fast-moving fish, or even a shrimp, or some crabs, you'd imagine that you really don't want that animal to move too much if you're trying to eat it, like a jellyfish. So their toxins will actually do multiple different kinds of things, but often what they'll do is they'll actually paralyze their prey. So it'll make it so they can't move anymore. Sometimes it's even lethal, right on contact. So that enough toxins are injected for their prey to actually die before they're even ingested. And that's really good for the jellyfish because it doesn't get harmed in the process. Now, stinging cells are super small. The ones I work with are between 10 to 20 microns. That's thinner than the sheet of printer paper. And you can see here, or maybe you can't see, that they fire really quickly. So stinging cells can discharge as fast as 700 nanoseconds. That's the fastest biological reaction that's ever been recorded. And because they're so small and fire so fast, that means it has a ton of force. So that's what enables these otherwise delicate animals to really puncture into that like hard outer carapace of these shrimp and other kinds of animals that they might be preying on. Now, when jellyfish sting us, those toxins can have really adverse reactions, even though they're not necessarily specific to us. So often when stung by a jellyfish, the most common symptoms are a lot of pain, sometimes a bit of inflammation, and sometimes some scarring. But most jellyfish stings are not going to cause any permanent damage, and the pain should go away in a few hours. That said, there are some species of jellyfish that are really dangerous, like box jellyfish, and some folks that are allergic to bee and wasp venom and really allergic to their stings. You can also be particularly allergic to jellyfish stings. So if pain lasts longer than a few hours, or you start having trouble breathing or heart problems, you should seek some medical attention. Now, otherwise with jellyfish, the one thing I would say also is do not pee on a jellyfish sting. This is a really common myth, and it will either not help or make it worse. So that's one thing I would recommend. And you should check your local safety websites to see what species are around and what you should do in case of a jellyfish sting. So if you want to learn more, though, about jellyfish venoms or jellyfish and their toxins in general, I actually have a blog site where I put a bunch of videos and other resources if you want to learn more about them. But thank you for your time, and hope you enjoy all the rest of the talks. Bye-bye.